Past, years earlier. Isha bowed low, genuflecting on a cold floor. With eyes held low, the young pureblood made out the tassels of 2 black robes swirling along the floor. Boots clicked as her father paced in a measured stride, saying nothing. The man before him had large feet, and Isha knew their proportions matched the rest of his frame. "You will convene the Council of Lords and convey my will to them," her father spoke. "Then take a group of our best and hit the Jedi enclave on Old Ferris." The large man did not mince words. From her position, Isha noted how his front robes sloped forward in bowed acquiescence. She risked a glance up as he started past her. That was a mistake. The Sith Lord peered down, trapping her with burning eyes framed in a tanned visage. Isha dropped her gaze, body tensing. The man walked past her. His heavy steps gradually receded. "Stand." Isha forced herself to exhale before rising dutifully. Her father faced a hollow, back turned toward her. Blue light reflected off his bald crown. The young pureblood steeled her nerves and took advantage of the pause to straighten a fold in her uniform. Like her superiors, she was clad in all black, but had a newly acquired lightsaber dangling from her belt. "You had time to reacquaintance yourself with your sister." "Yes, sire." "I take it she told you of her engagement." "Emperor, no, I'm not ready for that." Isha kept her voice even. On Relk, the jealous alien overseers had sought for every fault, every excuse, to vent frustration on their sole pure-blooded acolyte. "Yes, sire?" "You thought on this?" "I congratulate her. I heard Trakatan was recently promoted to the position of Sith Lord, and since you permitted the match, I'm sure House Kalkoran hold much potential." "No." She stumbled, her rhythm broken. "That is not why I allowed it." Her father turned, fixing Isha with eyes that seemed to penetrate her core. "Yes," her father said in response to a thought. "Yes, since I approved Arigra's engagement, and since your return from Relk, there has been suitors seeking your hand." "I'm not ready." Isha's effort to master her expression crumbled under the effortless scrutiny, under the weight of realizing that her mind, her only safe haven, had been breached. Her father tilted his head by an inch. Isha lowered her eyes. Shame rolled off her aura. Boots thrummed as he drew near. "You fear me." A cold finger pressed at the space between her chin spikes. "Don't touch me." His touch retreated as if stung. "Look at me." Isha was caught off guard by the finger's retreat, by the unfamiliar tone in her father's voice. "Daughter, look at me." She reluctantly complied, lifting her head to peer at Darth Iridox. His lips were drawn downwards, his eyes faintly narrowed. The expressiveness, the naked wariness, was alien to Isha. "What do you want?" he asked. Isha weighted her lips. No sound came out. "Is it a test?" "I agreed to your sister's engagement, not because it was beneficial, but because that was what she wanted. Unlike you, she was raised in a noble house that spared no time inducing her with the ideas of what was expected of her and what dreams she ought to harbor for the future." When Isha said nothing, her father continued. "I was not given a choice either. The responsibility placed on my shoulders dictated my path, always." As the shock faded, Isha found her hands clenched. "You just caught me again? Is that it?" Part of her railed at the defiance in her words, parts pertaining to reason and healthy fear, but she couldn't help herself. "Arigra, your favorite, was sent to live with your vassals in luxury while I was sent to that frozen hellhole." He looked at her. Seconds widened the gap between them. "I saw her at Relk," Isha pressed on into the vacuum. I have proven I'm not weak. Why do you spurn me? Her father turned his back on her. Isha took the pause to rein herself in as best she could. She had already overstepped by a mile. There would be consequences. Knowing this, she was startled when her father slooped his shoulders, and petrified when he spoke. I'm sorry. He turned to her, then, regret written across his face. I've been a terrible father. When you were born, I held you in my arms, and I felt naught but relief. You're a burden off my chest, a child to carry on the Nyash legacy. I saw you and your sister as stepping stones to completing an all-consuming task. Isha tensed when he leaned forward and rested a hand on her shoulder. Their eyes met then. Isha, don't be like me.